Imagine waking up in a country where the sun reigns supreme, flooding the skies with dazzling light for more than 300 days each year. The air is crisp, the mornings golden, and on rooftops from the bustling heart of Sydney to the red soils of Alice Springs, millions of solar panels glint like a sea of tiny mirrors. Australia is blessed not just with natural beauty, but with an abundance of sunlight that, in theory, could power the nation many times over. Yet, as you open your mailbox or check your inbox at the end of each month, you might feel a familiar twinge of anxiety. Despite all this sunlight, despite the growing forest of solar panels, your energy bill is climbing ever higher. How can this be? Shouldn't all that sun translate to savings? Welcome to the great paradox of Australia's energy revolution, a nation at the global forefront of solar power, but where too many families still struggle to afford their own energy. Let's take a step back and look at how Australia arrived at this crossroads. For much of the 20th century, the country's energy system was built on gigantic centralized power stations, coal-fired behemoths, hydroelectric marvels, and, more recently, sprawling fields of wind and solar. These facilities sent electricity across thousands of kilometers of transmission lines, delivering power from remote corners to cities and towns. But change was brewing as early as the 1990s. Victoria, always a trailblazer, introduced mandatory thermal efficiency standards for new homes in 1991, a move that would plant the seeds for the energy efficiency movement. The revolution gained further momentum in the mid-2000s with the nationwide House Energy Rating Scheme, or NAT-HERS, which encouraged builders to design homes that stayed warm in the winter and cool in the summer, using much less energy than before. Government programs like the Community Energy Efficiency Program sprang up to help those who couldn't easily afford upgrades, especially renters and people on lower incomes. Over time, a patchwork of incentives, rebates, and grants took shape. The Clean Energy Finance Corporation, a government-backed lender, has already committed more than $1 billion to help Australians modernize their homes. In New South Wales, families can claim up to $250 from the Family Energy Rebate, and Victoria and other states have added their own support measures. The goal: make it easier for households to invest in insulation, efficient appliances, and renewable energy systems. Australia's transformation from a coal-dependent giant into a solar superpower is nothing short of remarkable. Today, rooftop solar is as much a part of the suburban landscape as the backyard barbecue or the hills hoist. On especially sunny days, nearly 1 in every 2 homes in parts of Queensland and South Australia generate their own electricity. Across the national electricity market, rooftop solar can now supply close to half, almost 50%, of underlying energy demand during the middle of the day. That's not just impressive, it's world-leading. Wholesale electricity prices have plummeted during daylight hours. On some days, wholesale prices dip so low that large generators are paid to switch off. The sun is literally reshaping Australia's energy markets in real time. You might expect that these savings would trickle down to households everywhere. But for many, energy bills are higher than ever. Why? The answer is complex, rooted in the architecture of the energy system itself and the way Australians use power. While politicians and pundits often focus on how much energy Australia can generate, how many gigawatts, how many solar panels, the real gains for households may lie in what's called energy efficiency, using less energy and using it smarter. Let's consider the numbers. In the most recent reporting year, Australia's net energy use actually increased by about 2%, reaching over 23,000 petajoules. To put that in perspective, a single petajoule is enough to power more than 40,000 homes for a year. Meanwhile, the extraction of renewable energy climbed by 12%, totaling more than 325 petajoules. So while renewables are on the rise, so is overall demand. More people are plugging in, more gadgets are running, and the grid is under greater pressure than ever. But here's the twist. The true savings come not just from producing cheap, abundant solar, but from the energy that households never use at all. Luke Menzel, CEO of the Energy Efficiency Council, puts it bluntly: we're so focused on generating cheap power that we're ignoring the real savings, the energy we don't use. Despite Australia's solar boom, most households haven't fully embraced energy efficiency. Only around 6% of Australian homes have made the leap to all-electric appliances. The vast majority still rely on a mix of electricity and gas, and many use outdated, inefficient heaters, aging water systems, and live in drafty homes that lose warmth in winter and overheat in summer. In Melbourne, a poorly insulated home can consume up to 3 times more energy than a new 7-star rated house. That's a staggering difference, both for the environment and for the family budget. Every year, the average Australian household loses between $1,052 and more than $3,000 to inefficiency. Money spent heating or cooling the outside air, or powering inefficient appliances. Well, multiply that by millions of homes, and you have a national crisis hiding in plain sight. One of the most overlooked aspects is the timing of energy use. Rooftop solar produces the most electricity during the middle of the day, when the sun is shining brightest. But most families use the bulk of their energy in the evening, after work or school, when the sun has already set. That means households have to buy grid electricity at the most expensive times, or fall back on gas heaters that are both costly and polluting. Even families who own solar panels often export much of their self-generated electricity to the grid during the day, when prices are low, rather than using it to offset their own consumption at peak times. Without a battery to store solar energy for evening use, much of the benefit is lost. The cost of upgrading to batteries, double-glazed windows, thick insulation, and efficient appliances is significant. Even with rebates, the average household looking to retrofit their home is prepared to invest nearly $7,850 in cities, and about $8,400 in regional areas. For many families, especially renters, pensioners, or people on fixed incomes, these sums are out of reach. Renters face a special challenge, known as the split incentive problem. Landlords have little reason to pay for upgrades that benefit tenants, while tenants can't make major changes themselves. Add to that a maze of fragmented rules, confusing rebates, and limited awareness, and it's no wonder so many Australians feel trapped by high bills. Dr. Gil Armstrong from the Climate Works Center points out, upgrading homes is the low-hanging fruit for the government, but policy inaction and lack of coordination keep households locked out of savings. Even motivated homeowners can find the process overwhelming, with a dizzying range of product choices, standards, and bureaucratic hurdles to jump. For many, navigating the journey to a more efficient home feels like a full-time job. Meanwhile, other factors conspire to keep bills high. The price of coal and gas is rising, aging power stations are breaking down more often, and the cost of maintaining Australia's vast network of poles and wires is climbing. All these costs are passed on to consumers, often swamping whatever savings come from solar or government rebates. So, what would it take for Australia to finally unlock its energy efficiency revolution? Are we on the verge of a household transformation, or will outdated policies and entrenched interests keep bills high? Let's imagine a different future. Picture every home as a smart home, thickly insulated, filled with efficient all-electric appliances, powered by rooftop solar. In this future, bills plummet, comfort soars, and homes play an active role in stabilizing the energy grid. This isn't just wishful thinking. According to modeling by the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, a comprehensive package of upgrades, efficient appliances, rooftop solar, and batteries could slash energy bills by more than 90% in many regions. For an average family, that's annual savings of between $1,052 and more than $3,000. Money that could be spent on groceries, school fees, or a family holiday. The national landscape is shifting fast. The Australian Energy Market Operator projects that residential gas consumption could fall by nearly 2/3 within the next 2 decades. The Clean Energy Finance Corporation is pouring $1 billion into household upgrades, aiming to make energy savings accessible to all. Meanwhile, the humble electric vehicle is poised to become a household game-changer. Imagine plugging your car in at night, letting it act as a giant battery that powers your home during peak demand, then recharging it during the day with cheap solar energy. This technology, known as vehicle-to-grid and vehicle-to-home, is already being trialed in parts of Australia and overseas. But with opportunity comes risk. If the transition is mismanaged, states like Victoria could see winter electricity demand spike as households switch from gas to electric heating without careful planning, like boosting insulation, installing smart thermostats, and investing in batteries. This could strain the grid and push prices even higher. Eleanor Krieg from the REA Group cautions, without targeted education and equitable incentives, we risk deepening the energy divide. There's also the psychological barrier known as bounded rationality. Even when upgrades make financial sense, the complexity and upfront costs deter many families. Policymakers must step in with clear, accessible information, streamlined processes, and generous, targeted rebates. Luke Menzel is clear. We need to focus on how much energy people use, not just how it's generated. So what does all this mean for you? Whether you own your home or rent, there are concrete steps you can take. For homeowners, start with a professional energy audit to identify the biggest sources of waste. Upgrade your insulation, wall, ceiling, and floors if possible. Replace old gas heaters with efficient electric heat pumps and install a modern, all-electric hot water system. Rooftop solar can be transformative, especially as battery prices are expected to fall and new rebates become available in the coming years. If you're a renter, your options are improving too. When house hunting, look for properties with high energy ratings or recent upgrades. Talk to your landlord about available rebates for improvements. Some states, like Victoria, are introducing minimum efficiency standards for rentals. Over time, this will mean healthier, more comfortable, and more affordable homes for millions. Consider joining a community energy project or a shared solar scheme. These initiatives allow people who can't install their own panels or batteries to buy into local renewable projects, sharing the savings and building community resilience. The future is even more exciting when we explore smart home technologies. Imagine your house automatically running the dishwasher, washing machine, or electric vehicle charger during sunny hours, soaking up cheap solar power and avoiding peak rates. Or picture neighborhoods forming their own microgrids, sharing locally generated power and keeping costs low for everyone. These innovations are already being trialed, not just in Australia but in places like Germany, Denmark, and California. Of course, new technologies bring new challenges. As homes become smarter and more connected, cybersecurity and data privacy rise in importance. Regulators must keep pace, ensuring consumers are protected as new business models and digital platforms emerge. The rapid increase in the number of connected devices also creates issues of interoperability, making sure your solar inverter, battery, smart meter, and electric vehicle charger all communicate reliably. Industry standards and government oversight will need to adapt fast. Policy reform is crucial. The current approach to incentives and standards is fragmented. Each state offers its own rebates, rules, and guidance, creating confusion and inequality. Experts are calling for a coordinated national strategy. One unified set of standards, incentives, and public education campaigns that can drive change at scale. Some suggest that federal and state governments should commit to halving household energy bills within the next decade. Achieving this would require not just more generous rebates, but stronger minimum performance standards for new buildings and appliances, simpler approval processes, and additional support for the most vulnerable. One promising example is Victoria's new legislation to phase out gas hot water systems in new homes, an ambitious move signaling a wider shift away from fossil fuels. At the federal level, there's an opportunity to reinvigorate the Equipment Energy Efficiency Program, raising the bar for every appliance sold nationwide. The benefits of household energy upgrades ripple far beyond individual families. Lower bills mean more disposable income, boosting the broader economy. Health improves as homes become warmer in winter and cooler in summer, reducing the risk of respiratory illnesses linked to cold or damp housing. Improved air quality, both indoors and out, means fewer hospital visits and a better quality of life. By shifting energy use to times when renewable energy is plentiful, households help reduce peak demand, cutting the need for new power stations and expensive grid upgrades. This supports a cleaner, greener grid that's more resilient to climate shocks and global energy volatility. Yet despite all these advantages, barriers remain. Lower-income households are much less likely to invest in energy upgrades. Only about 1 in 3 homeowners with a mains gas connection plan to discontinue their supply within the next decade, and the rate is even lower among those facing financial hardship. Unless policies are designed to share the benefits equitably, there's a real risk that the energy revolution will leave vulnerable groups behind. Looking ahead, the scenarios are both inspiring and daunting. Smart homes powered by artificial intelligence could one day manage your energy use automatically, switching appliances on and off to minimize both bills and emissions without you lifting a finger. Electric vehicles could form the backbone of a distributed battery network, storing excess solar during the day and powering streets and neighborhoods at night. Community-based projects might see local groups investing in shared solar farms, wind turbines, and batteries, keeping profits and jobs in the region and building social ties. As you finish this video, ask yourself, if cost were no barrier, what would you change in your home? Would you switch to efficient electric appliances, invest in rooftop solar and a battery, or join a local energy project? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your ideas and experiences. If you found this video insightful, help us spread the word. Like, share, and subscribe for more global stories on the future of economics and technology. Together, we can build a